A Pantry Studio production.
The following may contain strong language and deals with adult themes. Listener discretion is advised.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
I will be the last to fall. I won't shed a tear for them to see. And I won't have your name to call. 'Cause I will be the last to fall.
With over 24% of the 1.9 billion square acres in America alone, the mountains that so many people call home are also host to some of the most incredible mysteries in the world. The missing, the murdered, strange creatures, unexplained lights, and sightings of unidentified objects. These stories may be strange, they may be sad, they may be odd, but they are mysterious. These are the Mountain Mysteries Gatherings. And now, live from the Pantry Studio, broadcast to all time zones around the world, with listeners of the podcast in the United States, Canada, Germany, Norway, India, the United Kingdom, and more. These are the Mountain Mysteries Gatherings. Now, your host, Chris Slone.
Good evening. I'm Chris Slone with the Mountain Mysteries Gatherings, Mountain Mysteries Podcast, and the Mountain Mysteries Blurs. We've got 3 different brands. They run together sometimes. So, letting you know up front that this was pre-recorded. This last episode took a toll on a lot of everybody. The one that you're going to hear tomorrow or drops at midnight, whatever. It is Heather is Coming Home, the Mountain Mystery of Heather Teague. I made mention last week, and just to be aware, we've got a lot to talk about, and we're going to try to do it in a reasonable amount of time. I made mention when we started this, about this. It was started because of April. And it was not long after that I was looking up, trying to research things, and came across Heather's case and found it, well, it bamboozled me, I guess is the only way I can think of to say it. That there was so much of it that didn't make sense, especially when it goes to motive, because the question I was asking is why. So here I am trying to find out things on Heather Teague. Why would somebody want to do this? Why would somebody want to take her? Was her family rich? No. Okay. Did she take a leak on somebody's Cheerios? Well, that was a possibility that it could happen, but I don't know that it had happened yet. And then, of course, we got to talking about Marty Deal. We started doing some research on this thing. Then it just got deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. You know how that goes. Well, the next thing I know, we're sitting there figuring out, we were able to go talk to her mom August 14th. We made a drive. And boy, did she let us in on some things that I thought, okay, I wasn't even scratching the tip of the ice with what's on the internet. The 911 call that a guy named Tim Wathall had made from across the river, lived in Indiana. There was that. She didn't get to hear that call until some years later. Let's see, 95. I'm thinking it was like 10 or 11 years, something like that. It was crazy. And then she goes another couple of years before they'll let her hear it a second time. That interview or that 911 call is actually on Patreon right now. If you're a Patreon subscriber, you've got that. You may have already heard it. If you're a Patreon subscriber, you've already heard the episode. It dropped Tuesday. Being a Patreon subscriber is actually kind of worth it. And we're going to reshuffle some things and redo some things to where you could get those episodes a bit earlier, like along with the Blur Sunday, Monday, because right now they're already dropping on Tuesday. So look into that. Give it some thought. I understand that money can be tight right now, but if you're enjoying the Mountain Mysteries for as little as $3 a month, you can get access, commercial-free access to episodes, and they're early because the fact that we dropped them on Friday, that's not going to change. So who was Heather? Learned a lot about her. Learned a lot about her family. Got to sit and speak with her mom. Met her sister Holly. Great people, great folks. Invited us right into their home. Made us feel at home. Very kind, very caring. Heather was a 23-year-old girl. She was beautiful. She at one point she was into cheerleading, gymnastics. And like so many of us do at some point or another in our lives, we make some decisions that aren't so smart for us. Well, she did that too. And I asked her mom point blank, were drugs involved? She said, yes. Didn't try to hide it. Didn't try to step around the topic of conversation. She came right out and owned it. She said, look, she said, at one point in our lives, things were tough all the way around everybody. We all had some kind of problem somewhere, and I get that. Does that mean that we should judge? Absolutely not, because let me tell you, I've done some things. If I could go back and redo them, I would. And I've also done some things I was pretty proud of. And Heather was no different. She was obtaining an education at a university, had a lot of things going on. And sometimes when you make mistakes, they come back sometimes and haunt you. Sometimes they don't. And I really wished that it had not have with her. I guess it just depends on the mistake and how things work out like that. But all in all, she was a beautiful, sweet girl. She was somebody that words like friend, cool, awesome, those words came up a lot. That was the general consensus. So anyways, we are at let's see, I know that this is airing Thursday, the 26th, 95, 26 years. This is the anniversary of her disappearance today. Well, at 1 o'clock or so, the time may be a little different, but anyway, it was this date, August 26, 1995, when she went disappearing. Today's August 26, 2021. The episode drops tonight. It was ready Saturday. Now, this one was a little different given the fact that Aro and Cody both went with me to this thing. I guess they wanted a taste of it. They wanted to see what it was like to actually, because let's face it, when we did April's case, I'll tell you what made April's case was her mom and her brother talking to us. I cannot possibly relate emotion or a story nearly as well without the emotion. Sharon gave us that emotion. Tim gave us that emotion. Tim Pennington, April's brother. And in this case, let me tell you, Heather's mom, Sarah, does the same thing. There's moments in there that'll rip you apart. It will play what with your emotions. And even though it is by design, it's not by design. In other words, there's no acting there. She misses her daughter, wouldn't you? She told me, I'm sorry if I make some noises with the microphone, but by the end of the episode, she looked at me and she said, all I want is my daughter back. That's it. And that hit me. I know where my mom and dad are laid to rest at. We know where April is at rest at, where Tim Stambo is at rest at. We know where Dwayne is at rest at. We have no idea about Heather. Nothing. This woman, Sarah, Heather's mom, does not even have a place to take flowers to or to go sit beside of her resting place and have a place to properly mourn and grieve. She doesn't have those things. She can't take a thermos of coffee up there and sit and talk to her daughter. And, to some people that may sound sad. To some people who've never experienced that kind of loss, let me tell you something. The last time I was at my mom and dad's resting place, which is in Florida, at a military cemetery, I spoke to them. It helps. It helps. When I left there, I felt better. I talk to them here too, but it's nothing like actually being where I know they're at. We can, I use April because that was the first episode we did. I can go, and I've got permission from Sharon. She's welcomed me to come and visit April anytime. I can go there and I can say hi to my friend. I can cry. I can tell her I miss her. I can tell her how much I wish that she were still alive today, and can only talk to her about what I imagine her life would have been with kids and possibly grandkids, and how many people she I'm sure would have helped. Sarah doesn't have that. Sarah has got a great big hole inside of another great big hole in her heart, because she does not have that opportunity. She does not have the chance to go and talk to her daughter and to tell her how much she misses her. Does she do it? I'm sure she does. I'm sure she speaks into the air all the time. No different than me saying, Mom, I love you. I miss you. Dad, I love you. I miss you. I still message them on Facebook. That'll probably never end. Sarah, she probably does that, but I can catch a plane to Florida and be there in an hour and a half. I can drive down and be there in, I don't know, 11 or 12 hours, something like that. My point being is I know where they're at. Sharon knows where April's at. Tim's family knows where he's at. Dwayne's family. And that ain't much in the line of comfort, but it's something. At the very least, it's something. We don't have that with Heather. And that's her. Let me see if I can get that glare off of it. There we go. Well, but that's Heather. See, I keep pictures of April and Tim and Dwayne. I've got those on, my computer. And whenever I feel like, I'm just ready to give this thing up and just say, you know what, forget it, I pull those pictures up and I'm thinking, you know what, if somebody doesn't speak out for these people on a larger scale than what most of us have access to, then who's gonna? Well, you damn sure ain't going to see MSNBC Dateline or somebody come down here. Don't get me wrong. I'd love to meet with the Keith guy that does Dateline and just watch him do his thing, because I think he does great, but I'm not seeing that happening anytime soon. I may be wrong. I hope it happens. But so they called us, or got a hold of us, welcomed us in with open arms. I'll never forget what Sarah said. She said, I'm so happy that somebody is still interested. Of course we're still interested. That doesn't go away. So when I look at pictures of Heather, or when I look at pictures of Dwayne, or when I look at pictures of any of these people, I think to myself, that's all the reason I need to keep going. Do you get tired? Yes, you get tired. Big deal. You go. Because you've got something they don't. You've still got the breath of life in you. Wow. Now available on the mountainmysteriespodcast.com. These and, people are getting the sweatshirts for fall and stuff like that. And got jackets coming and stuff like that. It's like the windbreaker things. They are awesome. And something else I'd like to throw out there as a plug. These aren't cheap made t-shirts. Most of them carry the Champion brand on them, and anybody that knows branding knows Champion's pretty good quality. It's good stuff. So they're going to last for a while. Aro's actually got one of the windbreakers, and we've got some coming for Cody and I, and he loves his. I mean, he said it's the last thing. It's holding up great. So you can get those too, and we got them in kid sizes on up. So, and they're unisex. And you can get practically any color under the sun. Matter of fact, if you don't see a color on there that you'd like to have, then let us know. We'll get it for you. It's a simple question of us making a phone call or sending something in the web. So that happens pretty well like that. There was a lot of things in this case that just really struck me. Now, like I said, if you're a Patreon member, you've heard the episode already. But last Sunday, not only did we drop my thoughts on this case, which was something a little different for the Blurs. Normally we do like the spooky stories and stuff like that. But we also dropped the 911 recording that poor Sarah fought for umpteen years to get her hands on, won a lawsuit against KSP over it to the tune of what I consider a bunch of money. About 24 grand, I think it was. And I just couldn't help but think to myself, and I did a little bit of research and asking around. I called a friend of mine who is involved in law, and I said, isn't 911 calls public record? He said, yeah. I said, how long do you have to wait before you get them? He said, you can get them that day. He said, it's public record. He said, you can get them anytime you want to. All day, every day. Really? He said, yeah, really. Why would somebody make somebody else wait for them? He said, well, who was the somebody? It was the parent of a victim of abduction, a victim of kidnapping. He said, hell, they should have gave it to her right then. Well, you'd think. So that's one thing. Then another thing, our hero, the guy that was across the river in Indiana, he had a telescope marked on the exact location where Heather was sunbathing. She got out there and she got to the beach. She was wearing a pair of cutoff shorts and I guess a t-shirt and a two-piece bikini. And she, I guess, didn't like tan lines, so she took off her bikini top, laying on her belly, and was tanning. Well, the story went at first. This guy comes walking down, kneels down, talks to her. I don't want to give misinformation. That's why I'm pausing. But I'm pretty sure they said that, he showed her a gun. She got up, went walking off with him, put a towel, to cover herself and went walking off with him. Then sometime later it changed to he ran down there, grabbed her by the hair of the head and showed her a gun. And then the story matches from there. She got up, got a towel, covered herself, went walking with him. Now, where this cat lived, and by the way, this was Marty Dill, was the guy that's accused of doing it. Accused. That'll become more prominent. Trust me. Anyways, they said later on down about where he lived, which was in Henderson, that residents or neighbors, friends, family, goats, dogs, sheep, I don't know. Anyways, they heard screaming going on in the trailer later on. So the cops pull a stop on this guy and listen to what they found in there. They found duct tape. They found a couple of guns, couple of knives. Oh yeah, and some blood. Sorry, I muted the microphone because I know you don't want to hear me cough. But they found a lot of stuff, and they pinned it on this guy hard. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying here, I'm not sitting here thinking, well, they shouldn't look into it. They certainly did. They looked into it. They looked into it in more ways than one. But if I understood the reports on all of this correctly, they didn't just look into it. They kind of had blinders on. Now, there was somebody else that they said could have been involved, and his name was Below. Yeah, like in underneath, below. But that was his name. His last name was Below. And this guy had killed somebody previously. He owned it. He admitted it. Served time for it. Even though to this day they've never found that body either. Oh, it keeps getting. Hang on. Like I said, those are just the curves in the road. We're not even to the rabbit hole yet. So what's about the 911 call? Well, like I said, you'll hear it on the episode. At that point, you've got it. Or if you want to hear it right now, you can become a Patreon subscriber. And trust me, you're going to get that and more. Because I'm really leaning towards these blurs should be more about the cases than spooky stories. Don't get me wrong, every once in a while, a spooky story's fun. It's cool. But I really like the way the one on Heather went. And because it was just me kind of spurting off, kind of like a Gatherings without the video, kind of, sort of. And you can listen to it anywhere you go. But anyways, back to the curves in the road, the 911 call. So this guy calls dispatch. Dispatch answers, of course. Talks to him for a few seconds. Puts him on hold. Comes. Oh, yeah, they put him on hold. Oh, and this was something else, too. I'm sorry, I'm all over the place with this. I know that. Please forgive me. The guy waited. It was like 25 or 30 minutes before he called to report that. Now, he did say he called the Indiana State Police and reported it. Indiana State Police have no record of it. So he calls across the river to the boys in gray. And I want to make this clear right now. I am in no way bashing KSP. I have several friends that are state troopers. Some of the crap that they say went down here, I know from the friends I have, that would not have happened. They would have been all over this like a pissant on a popsicle stick. But not everybody's the same. I get that. And I do believe, yes, there is things that happen that are hinky. Anyways, 25 minutes. Why would you wait 25? If I see somebody that I think is being kidnapped, I'm calling 911 as that shit's happening. All right. Hey, look, guys, it's Petey Perv in the pedo van. His license plates are 000-000. He's headed west, or he's headed in whatever direction he's headed. Yeah. But anyways, I'm not waiting. Now, this guy's response to that, because, man, the press came down on him hard for this. But this guy's response to that was, well, I thought it was her boyfriend. I thought they were just kind of joking around and, maybe they were going to go and, spend time together. I don't know. But, I thought it was a joke's what he said. And that has kind of gotten people from day one. And so has the fact that he had a telescope parked right on her. I mean, look, Newburgh Beach, I don't know. I've never been there. I know it's across the Ohio River from Indiana, and apparently I'm assuming it's a beach. I've never even looked at a picture of it. So, but there were other people there, by the way, too, but they were on the other side of the beach. Apparently there is some kind of a lock and dam that, you get the idea. I guess they were on the other side of that, or they're down far. I don't know. But there were other people there, and apparently it was known back then as a party beach. It may still be. I don't know. Like I said, I've never been there. But still, the fact of waiting 25 minutes, even if it's a joke, why not be safe instead of being sorry? I mean, if I walked up and pretended I was kidnapping my own child, I would fully expect somebody's going to call the police. And somebody right then. You don't wait on stuff like that. And that's not a joke. And if it were a joke, I'd say it's in really bad taste. So we fast forward 26 some years later, and nobody knows where Heather's at. Oh, there's ideas. There's no way that in this amount of time on this particular episode that I could cover everything that we have known or that we have learned. Now, granted, we've done a lot of research on this. The FBI got involved in this, and a guy that was heavily involved in that wound up having to resign just a few years ago, or maybe it wasn't even that long, over allegations of sexual misconduct. I think that's what. Anyway, it goes deeper and deeper, and finally, and you know what? I never saw Johnny Depp in the hat with a Mad Hatter thing. All I saw was, you've got to be kidding me. Wow. It's almost insatiable. The more you learn about this thing, the more you want to know. Be forewarned, the episode runs an hour and 6 minutes long. It's a little bit longer. Now, granted, the longest episode I think we've ever done. Probably, April's tragedy at Paintsville Lake was close to an hour. And this is in that same ballpark. But I think the longest one we've done was probably The Watcher, because there was so much in it. And it was like an hour and 9 minutes, something like that. Maybe Tears of a Star, Merrill Baldridge, because I think that thing was like an hour and 15 or something. So this falls in that range. So it's going to, I hope you enjoy listening to it. I hope it inspires thought, emotion, feelings, and maybe you wanting to make a few phone calls. But I can tell you right now that Sarah does not trust authorities. There is a number and an email that Sarah gave me to give to you. If anybody has any information, wherever you're watching this at, maybe you see pictures and you're like, wait a minute, I've seen, I know something. She asked that you contact her directly, because she does not trust authorities. She makes mention of one particular law enforcement official that tried to do the right thing and got demoted, and then took an early retirement because of that. And she makes mention of so many other things and the research out there. And look, I'd love to say that we did all this research, but that would be a bald-faced lie. We looked into it. And of course, the internet research comes from people like the Associated Press and some of the websites I wouldn't trust any further than I could throw them, and we just left those completely out of it. But some of them are pretty reputable. They take this stuff very seriously. They take accuracy, fact, very seriously. And I love fact. I don't like opinions. I could sit here all day long and say, well, I think this guy did it. Big deal. That and $1.50 will get you a cup of coffee. Let's get to the facts of the matter. Who did this? Why did they do this? And what happened to Heather? Where is she now? Rumors are everywhere, from she is at the bottom of what they call a stripper well. Oh, you'll learn what that is. To they've buried her in pieces in a shallow grave here and there. Even some rumors state that she was sold as, I don't know, I guess a sex trafficking. But my thing with that is Heather right now would be 1 year younger than I am. She would be 49 years old. I don't care to throw my age out there. Hell, I'm proud of my age. If I'd lived this long, or if I'd known I was going to live this long, I'd have took better care of myself. So, when you get to a certain age, I don't think the desire for paying customers is quite what it was. Just my opinion. I don't know. But it just seems to me like, well, I don't really know if she would be still involved in a particular thing like that. But even if she had been, and she survived all this, I can't help but wonder, why hasn't she contacted somebody? Well, Heather, if you should be watching this right now, I'm telling you to contact me. I will come wherever you're at and pick you up. Even though you hope against hope. That's what we do. I remember pulling up to Sarah's home it was when I found it. Don't get me wrong; it's not buried off the beaten path or anything like that. It was a very nice home, very, very, very nice, well kept. But there was this sign out in her yard, and it said, "Heather is coming home." Now, keep in mind, I'm behind the wheel, and I'm looking at that thinking, yeah, I hope so. I really do. And I got out and I saw and look, I'm not the kind of person that tries to shove anything down anyone's throat. I covered that with this whole vaccine thing a couple of weeks ago. I told you what I felt about that. You make the decision you feel is best for you. But I saw this sign that said, Heather is coming home. And at the bottom of it, I saw Matthew chapter 10, verse 26, a Bible verse. Well, I am not a Bible scholar. I did not know what Matthew 10:26 was. So I went and I found it and I read it. And I could not help but think of how poignant that is for this particular case. Matthew 10:26 states, "So do not be afraid of them. For there is nothing concealed that will not be disclosed, or hidden that will not be made known." Oh boy. Oh boy. Look at this. You can see that chills. I have to agree with Sarah. Heather is going to come home. May not be in the way we hoped. And then again, it may. And if it is, I'll be the first one to go out, get a Subway party platter and a couple of drinks. I'll be tickled pink. But I would love for her mom, her and her family, to know where she's at. That, I think, is what took the deepest toll on all three of us. We stopped off for a bite to eat, a bite of lunch on the way back from this place, on the way back from Sarah's. Aro wasn't right. I mean, he was just drained. Cody too. Needless to say, I'm a little more used to it, so I was like, okay. And I did tell them before we left, I said, look, you cannot let these things get to you. Cody said, well, Dad, you do. And I said, well, that's what I do. That's my part in this. I'm the storyteller. I relay the emotions. And I didn't have to as much in this because Sarah took that away from me. She did that, and she did wonderful. You guys are going to enjoy listening to her. Aro asked several significant questions. There's a lot in this case. Honestly, we could probably have made this a 3-parter. But when you hear this, and I'm not going to joke with you, I think it's going to take you more than once listening to it. But when you hear it, you are going to be like, what in the HE double hockey sticks is going on there? Listen, a judge asked, what is going on with this thing? A judge asked that question. A judge, whether he was circuit court or federal, I don't know. I didn't really, because I was in the middle of my mind was swimming. It was swimming like crazy. I was like, you got to be joking me. Because we normally don't think this. Normally we like to think there's a clear line drawn in the sand. The good guys, the guys that aren't so good, that they're doing whatever they're doing for their own reasons, whether it's dealing or whatever. And it almost always comes down to money. Well, Heather's family didn't have money. So what was going on there? Did I mention that there was a really good shot that she was a confidential informant? And she had gathered information on not only the people that were doing wrong, but on others too. Now it starts to make light. Oh, Pieces of this puzzle are coming together. What do you know about that? Did she get information and pose a threat to somebody that she shouldn't have? Maybe. Sure is smelling like it. And how far up the ladder does that go? I don't know. Maybe you've got the answer to that mystery. Maybe you know something that we've not learned yet. It's entirely possible. I do know this. I do know that there is a mom that misses her child, a sister that misses her sister. I know that there's a family that's missing a big piece. So that is all coming up. Tonight. Or in the morning, whenever you choose to listen to it. Maybe this weekend. But block off about an hour and 10 minutes just to be safe. It's an hour and 6, but gives you that extra few minutes to do whatever. Good thing about the podcast, too, on Spotify or anywhere podcasts are found, you can always pause it, stop it, come back to it, especially if something comes up. I know we received a lot of great compliments, and I want to give a hello and a shout out to some of my friends who have a podcast. It's called the Spooky Family Podcast. And, we recently got together and did a little interview about the mountain mysteries, and they paid us wonderful compliments, and these guys do a great job. So listen, you guys got to listen to this. It is set in a completely different tone than for the most part, than what we do. We do a lot of stuff, and the way that I do them is more storyteller, and it's kind of serious. Actually, it's serious. There's 3 or 4 of these folks, and I'm telling you right now, they're just great. Just listen to them. You'll have there's moments you're like, oh my God, are you serious? And then there's moments like, oh my God, are you serious? Yeah, it's one of those things. With us, it's just like, wow, really? Yeah, really. I never try to make it more serious than what it deserves to be. I'm not a drama king. I hate drama. This is a drama-free bubble. But when we talk about people that have been murdered, well, that's very serious. When we talk about people who are missing and their families do not know where they're at, oh, that's very serious too. We have a lot of that. Now, I may get a little more lighthearted in some of the episodes. I would actually personally love to go to the Winchester Mansion just to see if that thing is the real deal. I believe Waverly is, and I've got no intent or design or desire to go there, even though I feel like it's going to happen. Because that place is as screwed up as they come. Is the haunting real? Oh, you bet you it is real. I've talked to too many people that are too honest, too upfront, too brash, bold, and brazen, and they have all said, hell no. Not going back. That place is messed up. Some people are a glutton for punishment. It's like going to see Star Wars. They go time and time again and again, hoping to catch something on camera. My fear is bringing something home with me. I'd rather not do that. I'm not going to tempt fate. But yet I would go to the Winchester Mystery House. I'd probably take a young priest and an old priest with me just to make sure it's not clinging to me. Some of this paranormal stuff is like stepping on gum. You take it with you, and you may not even realize it until it's too late. Till you get it home and you've walked on the carpet, and then you've got a big wad of Wrigley's everywhere. I'd rather not do that. That's just my thoughts. So, okay. And there's some of the other things in this case that I wanted to bring up to you. We have lawyers involved. We have some law enforcement. We have, rumor is a couple of people higher up in the courts, this, that, and the other. And, oh yeah, underage. And apparently Heather was really upset about that, the underage girl thing, the underage females, as in plural, more than one. Don't know much else. I mean, these are the things that you're going to hear in the podcast. Well, let me say that. It's not that I don't know much else. Let the podcast reveal it. I want you to listen to this. Yes, I do. So I'm not going to give away every single thing in it, but there's so much more. It's crazy. Well, I've taken up, you know what's coming. I've taken up a lot of your time, and I certainly appreciate you guys. And if you can, as a matter of fact, why don't we do it right now? Let's take a second of silence to remember Heather Teague and pray for her. It was 1995 on this very date that she went missing from Newburgh Beach in Henderson, Kentucky. So let's have a second of silence. With that being said, that was with respect to Heather Teague. Our thoughts and prayers are with her family, and the hopes that she one day does come home one way or another. I'm Chris Slone for the Mountain Mysteries Gatherings, the Mountain Mysteries Blurs, love, light, and you guys stay safe and healthy out there, okay? Until the next time, stay mysterious.
From one coast to the other, mysteries are everywhere, and we will continue to pursue the answers to those questions and more. Please share, like, and rate the Mountain Mysteries podcast and tell your friends to tune in on Facebook or YouTube. The Mountain Mysteries gatherings are each Thursday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you'd like to support the Mountain Mysteries search and help these families, join us on Patreon, or you can make a one-time donation as well. The Mountain Mysteries and the Mountain Mysteries gatherings are property of the Pantry Studios and Chris Slone, who writes and produces the content. If you would like to reach out to the Mountain Mysteries, please email us at pantrystudio@yahoo.com. Until next time, my friends, stay mysterious.
Pantry Studio production.